episode 4 of Brick Shots with Billy. Glad you guys are tuning in. First off, I know I missed last week. My wife had surgery. She's doing fine. Everything's good to go. Appreciate the support for that too. No, I missed last week, but I got a lot of messages like people, hey Billy, what's going on? You didn't put it out. You didn't even ask us what's going on, what questions are happening. I just went back to work, got off leave. So I'm just trying to figure out, just trying to roll back into it. Long day today, but got to bring you guys some heat today and put out episode 4. So we're going to get it started. The first thing we're going to talk about, man, I don't have Tonio here. He just had his baby. Congrats to him. Everything's healthy. I've asked him everything's okay. Everything's good to go. But I just want to throw it out there. The first thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to put a screenshot up one of these sides. I always forget what side it is. But he predicted the score of the Alabama-Ole Miss game of 38 Ole Miss to Alabama having 30. And I just want to throw it out there that Alabama had 38 at halftime, and Ole Miss only had 10. The score ended up being 59-31. Bama's still taking it. But while we're talking about that, I'm going to open up into Alabama. That's going to be our first topic today. Them losing to A&M. So Johnny Football magic happened. Chad Kelly magic happened a couple of times, and I think it's so crazy that how good Alabama is we talk about the one time this happened and the one time they lost here, and it was Johnny Football, the HEISMAN year in Tuscaloosa where they lost. So I think that back then that was a bigger thing, but at the same time, Alabama is still so good. We're just. Them having a bad game and still losing on a last-second field goal, which was amazing, by the way. My wife actually, because after the Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal, how hype I got, she looks at me, and after the game, I was like, holy shit. And she goes, well, that wasn't as exciting as a 66-yard field goal. And it's like, woman, we just watched some greatness right here. What's going on? But I want to talk about the rankings because I really thought that Alabama shouldn't have fell as far as they did. I think a lot of it has to do with A&M being them getting ruckshotted by fucking Arkansas and not playing good against Kent State. It took a while for them to get going against Kent State. Colorado, they not barely won. I'm pretty sure it was 10-3. But because they weren't very good, I think brought Bama down. If they were ranked 21st, I think Alabama still is in the top 4. Excuse me. I still think Alabama's in the top 4 because it's Nick Saban and Alabama. We know what's gonna happen. The only way they're missing the playoff now is if they lose to Georgia in the SEC title game. I don't see them taking another loss until the SEC championship. But they're ranked 5th, and they're behind Oklahoma. And I'll get to the Oklahoma-Texas game because that was also wild. But do we really not sit here and say today that Alabama would not beat Oklahoma? If Alabama plays Oklahoma next week, right, so Saturday in 4 days, Alabama beats Oklahoma by 30 fucking points. And it's not even funny. That's what would happen. I think some of these rankings, maybe we should wait. I know me and Buckeye Aaron talked about not having them out until the actual college football rankings, with your top 4 and then your first 2 in, or first 2 out. But we should really think about it in other aspects other than the top 4, because it should be who's going to go to the college football playoff. That's how it should be ranked, not this week it's these teams, because in 3 weeks is it going to be the same team? Is Iowa going to be able to keep up? Is Cincinnati going to be able to keep up? Just throwing it out there. I don't like to brag, but somebody had Cincinnati and Iowa in the top 4 in my last show. So that was me, by the way. But if the trend keeps coming, the rest of Iowa's schedule is going to be easy enough until the Big Ten Championship, where they would probably play in Ohio State. And even if they don't play Ohio State, they're playing Michigan State or Michigan, who is also playing really well so far. But to Alabama's credit, they lost on a last-second field goal. I mean, they did all the right things. They were scoring. A&M kept answering. Let's give credit to where credit's due with A&M, because I hate when we do that where we're just like, well, Alabama sucks. They lost. What happened? Like A&M played well. Like, we can say it. A&M played well, and that's why they won. But again, Alabama just had an off night. Do we really think they're going to lose again? No. But we're going to get to Urban Meyer. So I'm not going to talk about his the video thing or any of that stuff. Y'all don't come to me for real world situation advice. You know, we're gonna just talk strictly football about it. So there's a coach who his first year in the NFL, he was a college coach. His first year in the NFL, he was 1-15. That coach then went on to win 2 Super Bowls and then get fired because the owner has a big ego, which is cool. I get big egos. Hey man, you know, shit happens. Could have won a lot more, I think. Jimmy Johnson, he started 1-15 with a rookie quarterback in Troy Aikman and started fucking around and doing all the right things. And how about them Cowboys? I want to say that's where it started, the how about them Cowboys thing. I could be wrong. One of my Cowboy friends, let me know how wrong I am about that. But Urban Meyer, let's give him some patience. Like, he's coming. The NFL is a different game. Like, we don't have enough patience with these new coaches or these new quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, Mitch Trubisky was going playoffs. And we just kind of he's not good enough. So now we're drafting another quarterback. So now your franchise is going to be, again, in this kind of restart mode. When your defense is so good, can you afford a restart mode? You couldn't pay Kyle Fuller, so boom, where does he go? Washington, excuse me. But like, what are we doing? Let's give the guy, let's put a system in there. Let's get him going. Alex Smith is a prime example. Had 7 coordinators in 7 years. We're changing all this stuff. How about we just keep it the same? Hey man, you get 4 years with this rookie QB. We'll see if the rookie QB, who Trevor Lawrence is especially now, starting to really pick up what we thought Trevor Lawrence is going to be. I'm not a big fan of how many read options, because he is athletic, but his speed is not where we think. His speed isn't good enough to bail them out, like a Lamar, even a Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers still can kind of move around. Josh Allen, who's one of the most athletic QBs we have, he's not there. So we need to stop with this. Let's change the coaches. All these even Matt Nagy, we were calling for his job. Not we. We were calling for his job weeks just because Justin Fields had a bad game. Cleveland's defense is really good. Like that's not what we were talking about. It wasn't like the Jets came in there and just fucking kicked the shit out of them. It was a really good Browns defense. Myles Garrett is probably the defensive player of the year so far. And we're just not giving enough chance because it's like, hey, we need him fired because we need to win a championship tomorrow. That's not how it works unless you're Alabama and you're just like, hey, we expect to win the championship every year. But speaking of patience, man, the kickers. So I know this week we had a lot of missed field goals, a lot of missed PATs. But I want to just say the PAT. So week 11, 2015 was also 12 missed point afters, right? And I think it was 2015 where we changed the rule, it went back a couple yards to make it harder, and it's making football more interesting. The rule change is working. It's the whole point of why they did the rule change. It's sitting here and it's thinking, hey, the kicking game, is it really that important? How automatic were extra points? Absolutely automatic. But now you got Brandon Staley out there going on 4th and 9 or 4th and 7 on his own 24. It's exciting. This is good for the league. We need to stop with kickers shouldn't be determining the outcomes of the game. Well, it's like Aaron Rodgers, you can take any quarterback you want in any scenario. You got 37 seconds, no timeouts. You get close enough to field goal range because you can't just score. And the kickers come out and they help and they bail you out or they lose. It's a win-win or a lose-lose every time. There's no in between. And the week before, Justin Tucker hit that 66-yard field goal that I talked about earlier. He hit a 66-yard field. That's exciting. That's amazing. But yet we don't want kickers in the fucking league because they're determining the whole outcome of the game. Yeah, because they need to. Offenses need help. Defenses, hey, you're slowing them down. Like, hey, you get them to a field goal attempt. You did your job to a point, right? Like, it's exciting. It's just really good for the league, and we need to accept it. Watching this week too, on Saturday, like watching some of these cats play, like Chris Olave is probably, he's my favorite. Him and Jalen Petrie are my favorite college football players to watch right now. So Jalen Petrie, I'm going to talk about him first because he plays for Baylor. Not a lot of Big 12 people. I think his stats don't show a lot, but I think what it is his ruthlessness to get to the ball. He's ball hawking. He plays really well in coverage. As soon as if it's a read option, he's very well at staying where he needs to. He's getting to from point A to point B with a quickness and with a passion for, like, he really cares about what's going on. But that's just something I noticed this week. And then Chris Olave, 7 catches, 120 yards, 2 tugs. Like, he's gonna be the best wide receiver in the NFL. Best rookie wide receiver in the NFL next year. I know Garrett Wilson is also a pretty high prospect, but I think Chris Olave is a better NFL prospect, if that makes any sense. I just think that, like, just watch those guys. If you're not paying attention enough to, especially Jalen Petrie, everyone's paying attention to Chris Olave because he plays for Ohio State, but watch some Jalen Petrie, and y'all will see some great. And like in the Big 12, we're looking at like how, like, the spread, the quickness of these offenses, and it's like some of these players on defense are moving, and it's really exciting if that's not what we're watching. I said I was going to talk about Texas, Oklahoma, and that's what we're about to talk about. But right now, so I don't have a twisted tea tonight. This is the SoCo Stop and Sip. Thompson for Texas, what a dog. I think he had 2 big plays. So the running back for Oklahoma had more yards than him, but there were 2 of these plays, and I think it was Kirk Herbstreit who was doing the announcing of it, but compared him to like Reggie Bush going down, I mean, he's number 5, super exciting. He's not catching the ball like Reggie Bush was, but looking at him run, it's crazy. Like he's hitting some of these strides he's getting on, and he's just so much faster than everybody else. Just what a freaking dog, a dog. And then Rattler versus Caleb Williams. So Spencer Rattler was the Heisman favorite this year. I think a lot of people were saying that. I mean, and if you weren't, hey, because I don't think Desmond Ritter's really a Heisman favorite. I think he does enough to get the team to win, but it's not him taking the team on his back. I think Cincinnati's a way complete team. They do it the right way. He struggles on a lot of third downs. His read options, he's not really taken. So I noticed when I was watching last week, he's not taking a lot of the read options that he probably should. And then he'll do it closer to the end zone where he feels like, I think he's going to score. So he takes those opportunities where he needs to. But I think he needs to kind of maybe, because he can throw the rock all over the field, and he's doing great at it. But if we're talking Heisman candidate, like, you got to rush the ball if you're a quarterback. But that Texas Oklahoma game was just crazy. After the half, Rattler got benched, Williams came in there, and I think a lot of it was him. And Williams didn't even play much better than Rattler. Like, he did, because he had 2 touchdowns and Rattler didn't have any. He had that crucial fumble like right before the half, and Texas was just really hot, really on fire. Thompson, 388 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Caleb Williams comes in there, and it looked like, and again, I'm going to give a credit to the announcers, because when they point something out to me, that's where I'm kind of like looking at it to see like, well, is this really what's going on, or is this just something for them to say? But Kirk had said, look at the command that he has. Like, even as a freshman, like, he has this crazy command in this, the respect of the rest of the players, where he's like, hey man, I'm in now, I'm taking over, this is my game, I'm going to try to lead us to the fucking promised land. And especially, you know, if you know the Red Rover rivalry, that's a pretty big deal, beating Texas or beating Oklahoma, however you're going to look at it. But it was really cool to see Williams get in there and really do his thing. I thought that was really, because literally Thompson did it for Carr when they went like, because I remember I said, and this is, again, I was wrong here too, because I was like, I don't think better stats translate into wins, and then Texas had a big win, and then again they lost, but the stats were great. But if the defense played a little better, maybe. All right, I wasn't ready for that to happen. But yeah, if the defense is ready at any point, sorry, I'm in dad mode too. I got my baby monitors right here just in case anything goes down. But I think if Texas defense played a little better, I mean, Thompson's right there. He's doing what he's supposed to do as a quarterback. And then I want to talk about, I'm going to transition into the Cleveland LA game, where that was probably one of the most exciting games I've seen in a while. Probably after the Ravens-Cleveland game on Monday night last year. That was also another good one. But that was where a couple missed extra points, where they needed to go for 2 a couple times. And I think Brandon Staley is going to be Coach of the Year. He's doing the opposite of what Anthony Williams was doing, winning the games that you're supposed to win. Justin Herbert too is just throwing the ball crazily, and he's just so good. And if you think about Miami, I know Tua's hurt. Maybe he was on pace to have a good year, or maybe, you know, a lot of Miami fans had some hopes in him, or even some doubts or whatever. But it just makes you think, like, what if Miami took Herbert? You know, is New England, do they make a move for Justin Fields instead of sitting there waiting to get Mac Jones? You know, I think that kind of maybe changed a lot of the landscape, and it's crazy for Miami's luck, because Brian Flores is a good coach, I think. But then now their defense isn't playing very well. Is their defense not playing very well? Because Jacoby Brissett was playing okay. They took the Raiders into overtime. Last week they were on par right there with Tampa Bay for a little bit, and then obviously Tom Brady just comes out and he's like, I don't fucking think so. And then you get Brady. And that happens in the league. Like no one's gonna be shocked, or no one's, I don't think, gonna be as upset, because it's like Tom Brady. Now if Zach Wilson, and that's why the Titans were probably like down on something, was if you got somebody else running up and down the field on you, are you gonna be like, yeah, well, hey, what are you gonna do? But it's Brady, you know. Back to the Chargers too. Justin Herbert is the MVP, by the way, so far. I know Kyler has all this crazy stuff going on, but look at his offense. I think we take MVP way too much as the best player when the name of the award is most valuable player. Not saying that somebody else could be doing what Kyler's doing, but those receivers are crazy good. D-Hop, obviously, we've seen it 100,000 times with the billion quarterbacks he had in Houston, and we've seen what he can do, and it's amazing, and it literally is amazing. But he's not the most valuable player. It's Justin Herbert. If you take him out, I don't think the Chargers win 4 games total this year. If you take Kyler out, I'm not saying the Cardinals are going to be on the streak that they're on, but I also don't think they're just chopped liver. Let's stay in the NFC West with Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll's got to go. I also don't think coaches, even a Bill Belichick, coaches should not be a GM. They should just be the coach and do what they need to do, because Pete Carroll's out here drafting outside linebackers from Texas Tech when your franchise quarterback was requesting trades. Like, we're giving up 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams, who's amazing again. He's amazing. He's their best defensive player, but Russ needs some help, and then he gets hurt, and we throw Geno Smith out there, and Geno did really, really well on Thursday too. Like, I was actually pretty stoked for a second, and then he threw that pick because he doesn't have the timing down with these receivers, because he's not getting first-team reps in practice. You know, it's kind of a backup QB is just sitting there waiting to go. But he did his thing while he was in, and I think Russell Wilson's just been hit way too much in his career, and the whole announcing team, he's never missed a start. He's never done, and then he gets fucking hurt. It was just so disgusting looking at it. But Seattle, like, what are you guys doing? You need to draft some O-line. Like, it's wild to me. Like, we look at Cincinnati taking Jamar Chase. Like, even me, again, at first, and I'm going to be wrong 100,000 times, I'm sitting here like, no, you get you a Rashawn Slater. You get somebody to protect Joe Burrow, who's a dog too, by the way. Get somebody to protect him. He doesn't need some more receivers. You still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, who are also great receivers. But you gotta protect your franchise quarterback. And like, even if you're drafting the guy and you're gonna draft him, have him on his rookie contract, and then you let him go after that, just to have somebody to protect him just for a little bit, you know, that I think that's way more important than getting another player on defense. And then you can say, well, Billy, Seattle's defense sucks. Maybe that's why they drafted a receiver, or they drafted that linebacker. Like, okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. That is a good point. You're drafting defensive tackles in the 3rd round. Like, is it helping? Not really, because your defense still fucking sucks. Get somebody in there that can stand in front of them, in front of a defensive lineman, and give Russ 0.5 more seconds. And real fast, speaking of Russell Wilson, why do we say let Russ cook? That's getting out of control. That's probably my most hated thing in the NFL, is let Russ cook. I want to know where that came from. Somebody let me know if it came from a certain thing, because I don't know if it did or not, but it's fucking silly when we gotta stop. Again, dad mode. Excuse me. I do want to talk about Lamar Jackson and all his naysayers, because it's crazy. There still is some. Just looking at Facebook, just look at all the, like, if SportsCenter sends a post, or The Athletic did a thing, and I was looking at some of the comments. People are just like, yeah, but he's not going to be able to keep this up. And it's like, even if he's not, look at the games, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Like, he's 5th in passing with 1,519 yards. He's 8th in rushing. 8th. He's 5th in passing, 8th in rushing. So he has not more than half, excuse me, because he's barely less than half of his MVP numbers from the 2019 season for his passing yards. A lot less turnovers. The big turnover on Monday night, that definitely had me a little scared. But what happened? They were down. They needed him to throw the ball, and that's what he did. Throwing it to the open receivers, not making not making a single bad pass. Everything was good to go. And we have to, it's either you're going to be the guy who, like, I told you Lamar sucked, and then if he loses in the 1st round, you're just like, yep, see, told you, Lamar sucked. And it's like, how many times Aaron Rodgers lost in the 1st round? Look at Peyton Manning's playoff record. It was not good for a really long time. He was still under 500 before he went to Denver. And then he got to a Super Bowl and lost the Super Bowl by a lot too, by the way. And then 2 years after that, got to another Super Bowl, so that's another 3 playoff wins minimum, right? 1, and then now his record is a little bit above 500 in the playoffs. And that's one of the greatest QBs that ever played. Lamar's 1-2 right now in the playoffs. We gotta stop with this hatred for the guy because he's faster than everybody else in the field. And so I've never yelled slide so much at my TV because he's so fast. It's honestly scary because he can run through the tackles and take a burst. He doesn't know how to slide. I think if him and Kyler like kind of had like a one-on-one, like to where Kyler can kind of show him like, hey man, this is what a professional slide, because Kyler does it. He does it smooth and he just pops up, kind of like a Trey Turner slide, where it's like, up. But Lamar really does need to kind of not figure out, but just kind of maybe pay more attention to what he's doing. And I also want to talk about. I'm going to move on from Lamar because y'all know I'm not sitting here to talk Ravens football unless Baltimore wants to hire me to talk Ravens football. I'll do it the whole show. It'll be the Baltimore Ravens show with Billy. That'll be what we do. But just give me a call. That's all I'm saying. So Iowa and Cincinnati, man, the pressure's really on for these guys. I kind of talked about Iowa a little bit earlier because of the easier schedule that they have. Cincinnati, same thing. Hey, the pressure's on. Like, you guys gotta make some shit happen. Especially for Cincinnati to be the first team. If Cincinnati just wins out, they're making the college football playoff. That's all you gotta do is just win out, and we will be good to go. But I think the most pressure is on Georgia. We look at Georgia as Alabama's like number 2, even though they're number 1 right now. We're looking at Georgia like that because they haven't won anything. Kirby Smart has done a fantastic job over there, and still hasn't beat Nick Saban, but doing wonderful things for the University of Georgia. But this is it. JT Daniels, I think, and I'm not going to tell you who the fucking backup name. And John, I know you're going to say something to me about it, but John is also a friend of the show, Georgia Bulldogs fan. He won't shut up about it. But JT Daniels' backup QB is better than JT Daniels. He needs to be the starting quarterback. But I think the pressure's really, really on Georgia, and I think it'll be a little more hectic and chaotic for them because they need to win out. They need to win out, and they need to beat Alabama in the SEC championship. And I think they can. Obviously, I do think they can. But even if they lose to Alabama in the SEC title game, and me and Buckeye Aaron, we talked about it, even if they lose in the conference championship, I think if Georgia's ranked number 1 and they barely lose to Alabama, they're still in the top 4. You can't make it. The defense is so good. They are so good. And I think there's a lot to say about that. Is how good Georgia is, and how good Alabama is. And if Iowa and Cincinnati can win it out, I think that's what's being battled for. Because I think you put a 1-loss Oklahoma team in, or excuse me, a 1-loss Alabama team in over an undefeated Oklahoma team, barely getting past West Virginia and Norman, barely beating Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Barely beating Tulane, who has a good program too. Again, Tulane is still pretty good as a football program. Excuse me again. Soko, stop and sip. That's damn good. But I'm gonna go and we're gonna talk about the Cowboys because number 1. I've been getting shit on for it the whole time. I did not think the Cowboys were a good team. I thought they were a 500 team, maybe a game above 500 team, maybe 2 games above. But I didn't think they were good, and that's where I was wrong. Watching them, I've watched pretty much every Cowboys game. They're for real. The Cowboys defense is for real. I think Dan Quinn has came in there and done a wonderful job. I think him putting Trayvon Diggs in a lot of these man-covered situations. Last week they were getting kind of he was kind of getting beat up by DJ Moore. There was a lot of one-on-one plays where DJ just kind of knew where he would be at, so he kind of moved around and got kind of past what Trayvon was trying to do. But he's making the plays. Like, he's doing exactly, like, looking like a defensive player of the year. I still don't think he's gonna get it. He would get it over a Myles Garrett or even a pass rusher, unless this production continues. Which, like, if we're being honest, do y'all think he's gonna get an interception every single game? Cowboys fans do, probably, because they're crazy. But I think the number 1 thing we need to talk about is They got both running backs in the top 10. Ezekiel Elliott is 3rd in the league with 452 rushing yards, and T-Paul is 10th. Again, it's 2 in the top 10, so he's 10th, but with 325 yards. They're just killing it on the ground. And when you're not giving the ball to the other team to go score, it's harder for them to score when you're just having the ball the whole time. And it's like so simple that we don't think about it because it's football and we love quarterbacks and we love Dak and who I do love. But like we put all the faith in these quarterbacks, and it's like, hey, sometimes you need a little bit of not even help necessarily, but again, Brandon Staley, I brought him up 3 times on this show. Somebody tag him, see if he gives me a shout out, because I'm sure I'll get a fucking Charger fan, at least 1 or 2, to fucking watch this. Just me gargle at his. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that. But if you're just sitting there, you keep the ball out of their hands, and that's what you need to do. The running game has a. That's what Brandon Staley said. Excuse me. The physicalness of it, to where they have to hit you. They gotta tackle you. They gotta try to hit you, unless you're just going out of bounds. But and I think the Cowboys, if they're just keeping that up, especially with how good Dak is, and that receiving core is just crazily good. The offensive line is really gelling, and the Cowboys are just really on top. What I do want to get to is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not a good football team, and I don't think that's crazy to say. We look at Patrick Mahomes and this vaccination with quarterbacks. It's coming back around, where we're just like, well, Patrick Mahomes, they have Patrick Mahomes, so why would they not? Patrick Mahomes has 7 interceptions on the year. The only player with more interceptions is Zach Wilson, a rookie. Is the Kansas City Chiefs good? We're going to see, because their schedule, they've had probably the hardest schedule in the NFL so far, and now they're going to get a lot of easy games. So maybe there's no easy game in the NFL, but they're going to get a lot of they're going to have to be favored in a lot of these next games, to where they'll probably go on a roll, and then they're going to look just like the Kansas City Chiefs, and then every person talking about the Chiefs are going to look like idiots. But that defense is bad. Patrick Mahomes is turning the ball over. I don't know if he's taking more chances because of the defense. I don't know if it's a Super Bowl kind of hangover thing, to where it kind of got to them a little more than it should have. Like, you're losing to a super old quarterback, the offensive line. And again, we got to remember too, there's 5 new starting offensive line for the Chiefs. They still haven't really gelled. Like, Patrick doesn't really have a lot of time. I'm not going to say time, because he's able to scramble around to give himself some time. And him and Hill and Kelsey, and I think Josh Gordon, even, because Josh Gordon could have been the greatest receiver of all time. I'm going to get that out there. He could have been the greatest receiver of all time if all that shit didn't happen, but shit happens. But I think the Chiefs will be okay. I'm pretty sure that's my thought, but if they keep playing like this, why would we call them a great team? Billy, you're reactionary. Billy, you're reactionary. It's like, but this is what I'm seeing. What are they going to do to change these things other than play worse teams and get some more wins? And if that's what you think, then that's what we all think. Okay, cool. You play easier teams, you get more wins, and that's how this league works. I do think when you get to the playoffs, are they going to be able to beat the Bills? Are they going to be able to beat the Chargers? Because what if they don't even win their division? They don't get a single home game? Are we going to sit here and say, like, the Chiefs not going to Arrowhead is going to be they're going to go on a roll or figure it out? Because we've seen it before, where these wild card teams, they get on a tear a little bit towards the end, and they get into the playoffs, and they're still hot as hell, and then they're just ride out that hot streak and win Super Bowls. We can look at 2007 Giants. We can look at the 2011 Giants. The Packers in 2010. 2010. Yeah. And then the Ravens in 2012. Like, we just kind of caught fire and just rode that out. But yeah, man, I did this episode pretty fast, just because I did want to get some content out there, just to kind of have, give you guys a little, maybe 30-minute show or something, just to kind of make sure I'm back. Next week, I'm going to see if I can get Antonio back, and we're going to have an episode with Antonio, myself, and Buckeye Aaron, just to have kind of a little change of pace, and just so you guys don't have to just listen to me ramble on, because I can do this all day. Hey man, leave a comment. Let me know how the show's going. Again, man, the support I've gotten since we started doing this has been unbelievably incredible, and I really appreciate it. And Really took off differently than I thought it could ever take off. So I do really appreciate it. Like I said, man, just if we can get more active, just give me some comments on what we got to talk about next week. Why you think I'm an idiot. That's the best thing. Just tell me why you think I'm an idiot. How about that? And then I'll have some better stats for you guys to prove why I'm half an idiot, if that makes any sense. But really appreciate you guys watching, listening, whatever you guys are doing. I really appreciate all the fucking support, man. Thank y'all.